This horse began to step on the coffin, and when the lid broke, everyone around was shocked to hear something crying. Animals are so incredible that we humans do not give them enough credit for how awesome they are. One of their most severely underrated attributes is their ability to form such powerful bonds with humans that they become so connected. It is said that some animals are so in tune with their surroundings, nature, and humans that they can feel the aura of living things around them, and that they can even tell when a person has already passed on before anyone else knows. This is the story of a horse on a small-town farm in Morocco. A 65-year-old farm owner named Salim lived on his large farm and his loving family. Ever since he was a kid, Salim had grown up around animals. His father and mother were avid animal lovers who reared cattle, raised horses, and had numerous domestic pets in their home. Salim grew up knowing how to earn and respect an animal's trust. For some reason, animals seemed to gravitate towards Salim. Of all the animals Salim grew up watching his parents care for, horses were undoubtedly his favorite. Salim would wake up before anyone else in his home and rush to the stables where he would dutifully brush their coats and their luscious manes and feed them. The horses loved Salim dearly and would neigh in excitement whenever he came to the stable. It wasn't surprising that he inherited their farm and traditions when Salim's parents became old and passed on. Salim didn't only rear the healthy and easily marketable animals, though. He especially went out looking for the so-called broken ones that no one seemed to want. He had saved so many farm animals, lined up to be put to sleep for one reason or the other. Salim had many horses on his farm, enough that it looked like an incredible sea of glossy coats when they were all outside. The farmer had always been so fascinated by these majestic creatures. He saw a hidden beauty in everything they did. When Salim was 48, he crossed paths with a special horse. He was out selling horse feed when he overheard his client talking about putting down a young horse. Immediately after hearing those words, Salim ran to the horse feed buyer, asking him to elaborate on the situation with the mother and foal. The buyer said that the horse that gave birth to the young foal was very sick and had likely passed on whatever it was to her offspring. According to the buyer, the newborn horse was so sickly and the birth was so traumatic that its mother died within an hour. There was nothing to do for the foal. It was skinny, it could barely see, and would likely die in a few days. The buyer went on to say that it was burning a hole in his pocket having to cater to the young thing, and they still couldn't figure out what was wrong with it. Salim's heart immediately broke for the poor thing, and he asked to see it. When he visited the farm, his heart melted when he laid eyes on the foal. There it was, as skinny as they said, with the saddest look in its eyes. Salim was so upset with the owners for clearly not caring for this animal because of the conditions surrounding its birth. They hadn't even given it a chance to live yet, and they were already considering putting it down. Salim asked that they sell the young horse to him, much to their surprise. The other farm owner looked at Salim like he had suddenly grown a second head. They asked why he would do that. "Don't you see how pathetic and weak it looks?" the owner asked. "There's nothing you can do with this, and it likely won't last a month alive," he warned. Salim was adamant. He didn't care what the other man had to say. This poor foal was coming home with him. Eventually, the owner agreed. He didn't put up much of a fight anyway, but warned that Salim had better not return asking for his money back when the young horse eventually died. Salim agreed, and they quickly brought out the young horse from the farm, which lay with a sad look on its face. They loaded up the horse on Salim's truck, and soon they were on their way to Salim's farm, just on the outskirts of the town. The first thing Salim did was call a vet to look at the foal. Although he knew about taking care of them, it was clear that the poor thing would need medical help. The veterinarian asked that Salim bring the foal to his vet center, several miles away from his farm outside the town. Salim was determined to help the foal survive. It didn't matter that the vet was far away. He drove his truck to the veterinarian, where they would find some answers to his questions. After looking at the horse and running a few tests, he sighed deeply. The poor horse would likely not make it to adulthood. In fact, it would be surprising if it made it past a few months and, by a miracle, maybe even a year or two with careful attention and patience. Salim said he was prepared to pay as much patient attention to the foal as he could, no matter how short they said his life would be. The passionate farm owner worked hard to make the foal comfortable and happy. Salim named the horse Kala. Although the vet said it would take a miracle for Kala to live a year or two, the first year passed. Then the second, the third, the fourth, and the fifth. After just 5 years, Kala had shocked everyone who knew his story. That feeble, sickly little foal had grown into a stunning, majestic steed. He was strong, fast, energetic, and super playful. He was so attached to Salim that the farm owner's farm help and his family joked that the horse probably thought Salim was his real dad. The horse followed Salim everywhere, staring at him with love in his eyes. Salim liked to joke that he cared for Kala so hard that the horse had no choice but to stay alive and healthy. Unfortunately, Salim became very sick a few years after. He became so sick that he couldn't tend to the animals on the farm as well as before. His wife and kids took up the job while he supervised and did the little he could. Of course, Kala was not like the rest of the animals on the farm. He had intelligent eyes and a beautiful soul that anyone could see. In the evenings, when Salim sat on the front porch of his home, Kala would trot gently to the house. There he would lay down beside Salim and spend time with him. They started doing this in the mornings and evenings. Unfortunately, Salim had a heart attack while he was in his garden. Although his family acted quickly enough, there was nothing they could do in time to save Salim in their small town. So, as Salim lay in his bed unresponsive, the family realized that he had passed on. According to their region, they began burial rites and carefully washed Salim. They wrapped him in befitting burial cloth and put him in a wooden coffin to be taken to the burial site on his farm. Everyone was shocked when they heard neighing from afar as they made their way to the burial site. The farmhands were chasing after none other than Kala. They had tried to lock him in his stables, but the large horse was so powerful that he kicked down the doors. The steed was fast and unrelenting as he chased after the crowd. Salim was a well-loved man. So many crying people were present at the burial site. At the sight of the large, powerful horse charging toward them, they all scattered and moved away from where the coffin lay by the grave. When Kala got to the coffin, he started aggressively stepping on it. Although they knew the horse wasn't trying to be sinister, and it was sad about Salim's passing. They also knew it was hard to stop it. Just when they could use a catch rope around Kala, the horse kicked off the coffin's lid. It stopped stepping on it, and it started sniffing it instead. Everyone was stunned by what was going on, and after a few seconds of silence, they heard crying from inside the coffin. From inside the coffin, Salim exclaimed and shot up from where he lay. Everyone instantly screamed in fear and ran away. Salim's family and the few friends that stuck around stared in shock as Salim exclaimed that he had almost been buried alive. Although they were scared, Salim's family members and friends were moved to tears. They thought it was a miracle, and that somehow Kala had known that his owner was not truly dead. An expert doctor who heard of this case said that although Salim's story was incredible, it was most likely not a miracle. He had probably experienced something called catalepsy, a medical condition that mimics death, loss of sensitivity, vital signs, consciousnesses, and with rigidity of the body. Although rare, cases like this have happened before. Thanks to the incredible bond that Kala and Salim shared, he detected that his owner was still alive and prevented him from being buried alive. Who would have thought that the weak, sickly foal from those years ago would be the one to save him from a sad ending? How did this beautiful story about an incredible relationship between horse and owner make you feel? Tell us in the comments, and please don't hesitate to hit the like and subscribe buttons to see more heartwarming videos like this.